Hello everyone, welcome back to the LeetCode plus DSS series. Today we are solving LeetCode number 167 two sum to input array is sorted. If you solve the original two sum problem before, you will notice one major difference. This array is already sorted, and because of that we can use much cleaner and optimized approach. So let's understand the intuition step by step. We are given a sorted array and a targeted value. We need to return index of two numbers such that their sums becomes equal to the target. One important thing here that the answer must be used one based indexing. For example, if array is 2, 7, 11, and 15 and the target value is 9, here 2 plus 7 is equal to 9 and the index of 2 in one based indexing is 1 and of 7 is 2. So our answer is 1 comma 2. The brute force solution is pretty simple. We use two nested loop to check every possible pair. For every element, we check elements after it. And if their sums is equal to the target, then we return their indexes. So let's implement that idea. So let's run two nested loop. First one from I equal to 0 to n and second one from I plus 1 to n. And here n is the size of an array. And now let's check if the numbers of I plus numbers of j is equal to target, then we return their indexes. So if nums of I plus numbers of j is equal to target, then we return I comma j. But here we have to return one based indexing. So we plus one in both index. So let's and at the end we return an empty array. And here if is small. So let's run this code. And here we use numbers. This approach works, but the time complexity becomes O of n squared, which is not efficient for large input. Since the array is already sorted, we should try to use that property to optimize the solution. Since the array is already sorted, the smaller values are on the left side and the larger values are on the right side. So we can use two pointers, one pointer at the beginning and another at the end. Now there are only three probabilities. If the sum is smaller than the target, we need bigger values. So we move forward the left index. And if the sum is greater than the target value, then we need smaller values. So we move backward the right index. And if the sum is becomes equal to the target, we simply return the answer. This gives us O of n efficient solution. So now let's implement that idea and code that solution. Take two variables I and j, I at the start and j in the end. Now run a while loop until I is less than j. And if numbers of I plus numbers of j is less than target, then I increment I variable. And else if nums of I plus numbers of j is greater than target, then decrement the right pointer. And else we found our answer. So return I comma j, but in one base index. So we increment by one in both index. Here plus one and at the end semicolon. And at last we return empty array. So let's run this code. Now let's submit this code. It's submitted. So now let's understand the code. We first initiate two pointer I and j such that I in the starting index and j in the ending index and run a while loop until I is less than j. And here we check if numbers of I plus numbers of j is less than equal to target or not. If yes, then we increment the left pointer. And else if the numbers of I plus numbers of j is greater than target value. If yes, then we decrement the right pointer. Otherwise, we got our answer. Other, Otherwise, the numbers of I plus numbers of j is equal to target. So we got our answer. So we return I plus 1 and j plus 1 because we have to return one best indexing. At the end, we return an empty vector. If none of the numbers satisfied the condition, then empty element is returned. So let's try run this code for array is 2, 7, 11, 15 and target 9. In first step, the I is 0 and the j is numbers dot size minus 1, that is 4 minus 1, that is 3. Since 0 is less than 3, this while loop is run. Here numbers of I is 2 and numbers of j is 15. So 15 plus 2 is 17, which is greater than the target. So this else if condition run and j is decrement. So now j will become 2. Now 0 is less than 2. So this while condition is run. And here numbers of I is 2 and numbers of j is 11. So 11 plus 2 is 13, which is again greater than the target value. So j is again decrement. So now j will become 1. And now 0 is less than 1. So this while loop run again. And now now numbers of I become 2 and numbers of j become 7. Here 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. So we found our answer. So this else condition run and I plus 1 and j plus 1 will return. So our answer become 1 comma 2. The time complexity of this solution is O of n and the space complexity is O of 1. And that's the optimal solution for two-sum 2 using two-pointer approach. This problem is great example of how sorting can help us to reduce the time complexity. The full solution link is in the description box and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.